By the way, now. All right, so we are live. Hopefully everybody's paying attention. So I'll give it a minute, make sure we're good. I don't see any viewers on here, so I don't know if anybody's actually in here or not. Haven't seen any comments. Give it a minute.
We lost them all.
And
we delayed an extra 25 minutes.
I don't blame them. All right, so I see a bunch of people popping back up in here now. All right, guys, listen. We got it. Shit's fucked up. Y'all can stop with the Discord. We got it. There was an issue that Nate's about to explain that is not right. We understand there was an issue. Nate's going to show you what happened. We're just letting everybody know now we're not running players tonight. We want to make sure this is 100% correct before we do this. We don't want anybody to miss out on getting a recruit they were supposed to because of what's going on. So we will be doing the hype store. We will show you guys the top 25, but there will be no recruits tonight until we can make sure that everything is correct. If you would like to understand what happened, Nate, I will let you take that from here.
Yeah, I set up a little kind of demonstration screen share. I'm going to show real quick that hopefully will help articulate what happened. That essentially we originally had an issue that was caused because of changing the player database, right? We tried to update it to delete some players, to add some players, which we hadn't fully fleshed out and tested adding and deleting players yet, but we didn't want people to be confused. We kept getting lots of questions about why is there this duplicate, so on and so on. So we wanted to go ahead and push through the player database updates. Unfortunately, that resulted in the issues we're seeing today with some data just being off of the rows being off of where they're supposed to be. Earlier today, it was addressed. We figured it out. We fixed literally, I think, 99% of the places that it happened. But as of 30 or so minutes ago, we found one other place where it does look like the instance was not corrected yet. So we want to correct that, but I also don't want to assume that that is it. I don't want to give y'all, I feel like maybe we rushed it earlier with trying to say, hey, we got it fixed. Let's go ahead and try to still have the show tonight. But I think the best answer is to make sure everything's 100% right before we actually roll the commitments. But to kind of explain what we mean by like a data transfer issue, I set up these couple of just example tables here with if this would represent our database, right? That just has some teams, some players, some information, things like that. And there are two different methods for actually replicating this data. And these would be two separate sheets that we'd be working on, or two different setups for the same sheet. One way has the names hard programmed in. So, for example, this would be a copy and paste of this name list with these numbers actually looking through this index and trying to match. And this second way, which is how it is now, actually does the same kind of searching function it does here, but for the name list also. The issue was that originally it was set up this way. Unintentionally, it was an error. It should not have been set up this way, but it was, which basically means these names cannot adapt as our player database changes. So to show an example of what happens when we delete, for example, if we say this third guy was a defensive player, we want to get him out of here. We're going to delete this row. Well, as you can see, two very different results. This top one is not looking to assign these numbers to these names. It's looking for a geometric location. It's looking for row X, column Y, so on and so on, right? So it actually moved this 100 and this 50 up a row instead of keeping it with junior, and it does not catch the change in name. And then compared to the second example where it's actually matching the names also, you can see that the rows stay aligned. So basically what happened before was we updated the player database and we had the names did not update, but the numbers did. So things shifted per rows. And that was the initial issue with seeing things like guys were just all of a sudden committed to entirely different teams, or people who were had tons of points on them, all of a sudden had 0 points on them. And that's how we realized, okay, things are literally shifted multiple rows. And that was what we started implementing this. The issue is that now that is on of the some 50 different places that was happening, like 49 of them were good. And the one place it wasn't was actually where it allocates the correct bonuses to the correct players. That was referencing two different types of name lists. Because if y'all remember, in your coach books, the names were the original name list, right? Even in this week 1, it was the original name list because that is what it pulled. That was in until we recently updated the names list. So we were having to reference two different configurations for the name list, resulting in it matching the right point totals now with the wrong bonuses. And that's what people started asking, how did I drop from 1 to 4 on a player? Things like that. That was because the program itself was starting to attribute the wrong bonuses to the wrong players, similar to this fashion. It was, people would be an entire row off or entire column off or whatever. So once that is fixed, that should be the last instance that is in this configuration. We'll be good to go. Everything will be hunky-dory, and we'll be able to roll, and everything will be perfect, and we'll never run into a bug ever again. But I want to be sure that we're sure of that to get all 8 eyes we have available on it and make sure we know what's going on before we present y'all with information, because it is always better to delay and make sure we do it right the first time than to roll and people get excited or heartbroken or anything and have to come back on a Friday night and say, oh, actually, we messed up. We need to re-roll this, or we need to redo this after the fact, because that's never, ever, ever fun. So hopefully this wasn't completely over everybody's head. I tried to just basically show that,
the other thing is, like, everything from the first week in the leaderboard, those were right from week 0 and the leaderboard. So when you put in points, they were correct. Those players were ranked there for you.
Yeah.
It happened when we pulled points. It didn't happen pre this week.
So to dumb it down for the people like me, not that many of you are as stupid as I am, but the issue came today. Anything that happened prior to today, people, was not an issue. So the leaderboards, everybody complaining about that, the leaderboards were correct. The reason Nebraska was up on Ennis beforehand was right. He is not in him on in now because of the issue we had just now.
Because it's retroactively changing his bonus. It was currently not representing the newest role that we tried to push out really quick within the last couple hours. That was not representing the bonuses that Nebraska actually has on Ennis, for example. That was representing the incorrect things. But before, when you were sitting and doing your week 1 and you had the leaderboard and you had the points, that was all correct. Nothing that was in y'all's hands and were making decisions was affected. This was purely after the fact, between y'all submitting points and us rolling who committed. That is when the issue happened. So you don't have to worry about the leaderboards having been wrong or people having put the points on the wrong people. All of that was correct for week 0 and week 1. This was something that happened. The change happened. We switched databases from the old one to the new one between the pull of the week 1 data and today.
So pretty much what we're saying is just forget what happened earlier. We understand that you guys are frustrated. I understand that you think there's something wrong, PJ. There is not. You are good. The leaderboards are not wrong. You didn't put the points on the wrong players. It was Nebraska. Thank you, by the way, for bringing that up. When you brought that up, it caused us to get with Nate and say, hey, this is being brought up. Is this correct? And that's when we realized the issue. It is being corrected.
Yep.
So what this really means is that you get new graphics again.
Yeah.
Or we're just going to tell Tristan to take some time off from that because he was yelled at.
Drawing like a madman, and
Matt, we are not doing recruits tonight. The hope is to get it by tomorrow, but a lot of that is unfortunately going to depend on what Nate can and can't get done. He's been messing with it, but we don't want to rush the process. It will be done this week. We will promise you that. We're not delaying it another week like we had to last night. But it will be done this week. Hopefully Tristan, Carl, and myself can get on here tomorrow and run the recruits for everybody very quickly. That's the goal. Hopefully no later than Thursday, but it will be done this week. We just want to give Nate time. He does have a wife, kids, and a life and another job. We want to give him some time to be able to make sure everything's good while also not killing himself over this. So we will get it done as quick as we can.
Which is also why I'll be working on the graphics, because I don't have a wife, kid, or life.
Well, you're lucky. So again, tonight, the only thing we'll be talking about now that Nate has explained that, hopefully everybody understands. Again, we apologize for the inconvenience. Again, nothing you guys did before was wrong. We'll get it corrected. Like Nebraska, you'll probably go back up to being whatever you were, number 1 or 2, back on Ennis, like you were supposed to be. That will all get corrected. I'll go back up to being number 1 on Deuce, which I'll appreciate. Everything will be good. We'll all be happy. We can move on. So we got the hype store and top 25 tonight, right? Everybody good?
That's it.
Are there any more questions?
Do we also have hype events? Or no?
I don't know. That's
they were rolled. If you want to pull them up in the database, I do need to head out here.
Yeah, I know you have to run.
But do you know how to get to them?
Selfish. You gotta have a family and stuff. But
I know.
Whatever.
No, Dallas,
yeah.
we appreciate you saying something because honestly, we would not have known had some of you guys said that. So do not apologize. No. For letting us know that now that we can get it fixed. We're just trying to say, hey, yeah, Carl is balling out. He was hoping to land a bunch of recruits tonight. We are very appreciative that you guys let us know. Please just work with us as we try and get this stuff situated.
I don't drink beer with cigars.
To address some of the commentary, love you too, Jared and Pellegrino. I can only burn so many on this league. So,
yeah. Also, if anyone, the most upset person in all of this, is the guy with his camera off right over here. Nate's the most upset of anyone. I can guarantee that because this is his baby. So,
well, I appreciate that. I hate that we rushed out earlier. I wish we would have caught these. But to reiterate what Carl said, or what not Carl said, what Matt said earlier, what Carl said too, but what Matt said, thank y'all, the people who reached out and asked questions and cared about it enough to say, hey, I'm like, if you're tracking with it enough that you understand that, hey, I shouldn't have gone from 1 to 4 on the leaderboard, then like that shows us paying attention. That helps us because the more people we have paying attention, the more chance we have to find stuff like this, because we're all, especially in the middle of a workday when we're all running around, it helped to have everybody kind of real attentive on catching it. Because I was looking, to be honest, earlier I was looking mainly to make sure the points got in the right place. I didn't even realize that the bonuses were not, because that was kind of within another formula. But, yep.
All right.
Tristan, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh no, you're fine. I was just gonna say it.
Yeah, get out of here.
Yeah,
we gotta do.
We tried to catch it up in time, and we should have just taken a little more time this afternoon to make sure it was right, rather than pushing through. But we will get it fixed, and that probably means we'll be moving recruiting point deadline out, depending on when we get.
We'll push it a day.
Yeah.
Hicks has a great idea. Instead of anybody worrying about this anymore, we should just rehash
I'm about to drop
MF.
that in. I'm about to drop that in the chat. Just so
I was about to say, I'm gonna leave and y'all just talk about that the rest of the time and not the issues in the super complicated sheets.
Okay. I am not low key. I am super pissed, Jared. But I will leave that to. We can talk off air, Jared. We can talk off air.
He's mad at me. Okay.
I am not mad at Carl. Anyway, so what are Nate, get out of here. I know you got to go. You weren't even supposed to be here tonight.
Right.
Thank you, Nate, for jumping on and explaining the stuff for everybody.
All right. Appreciate y'all.
All right, Carl. So what do we want to do next? You want to pull the hype events?
I think we should have.
I can do the top 25. You want to pull the hype events?
Yes. So here are the events that happened. We are going to come up with a way so that you know how your team's gone up and down, because we want you guys to know that and get a way so you guys can see how much hype you have to spend. So we are working on that. Hype store will be, it can open tonight. You might want to wait until seeing which recruits commit tomorrow before deciding how to spend your hype, because once that message is sent,
Malachi in week 1, and then you want to use them.
Right.
So,
or if you landed Malachi and Dante, because I hate you. So we are coming up with a way to get that, but we'll go over positive events first, because we like to touch on those. Somehow Kennesaw State had a nationally televised game. So plus 10 hype to Kennesaw State. Yeah, it was soccer. Football. It wasn't football. USC had a player's highlight go viral. It wasn't Caleb Williams, because he does that all the time. Tennessee has a QB's girlfriend who is #fine. We are updating that to an O-line's girlfriend who is #fine, thanks to Hornibrook. UNC had a player's highlight go viral as well. Moving on to C3. UCSB had a nationally televised game. Why are we nationally televising not
rowing.
even FCS schools?
It was rowing.
LSU also had a nationally televised game, so that one actually makes sense, and Nate isn't even here to enjoy it. Baylor had a huge week, massive week, plus 25 in hype. I'm not sure what they were at before. So they had a famous celebrity or celebrity alumni visit their game, plus 15. A player's highlight went viral, plus 5. And a creative fan made a series of recap videos that are absolute fire. So plus 5 there. Wow, what a stroke of events. Notre Dame, plus 15 hype. They had famous alumni at their game as well. And then Maryland had plus 5 for one of their players' highlights going viral. Now, the negatories.
The negatives.
The ones no one likes. All right, scrolling down. Oklahoma yelled at a reporter at a press conference, minus 5 for them.
Sounds
Ohio
right.
State got upset on the video call at other members. I'm just kidding. Ohio State, that one player that is most likely to get out of hand, steal some crab legs, minus 5. Pittsburgh yelled at a reporter for, I think, the third week now. Austin, you really got to reel that in.
Yeah, it's really just a bad look. Like, come on, man.
Yeah. Let's see. On to Conference 2. California, 2 of your players miss the bus and have to Uber all the way to an away game. They definitely don't make it there in time, but they did pick you up a bubble tea and got a cool selfie with a giant peanut statue. So minus 10 for Cal there. Now let's see any more negatives in Conference 2. That is it.
I don't see any.
Conference 3. Oof. Mississippi State, minus 15. Your mistress insists on a daring motorcycle ride down the mountain. You don't know how to drive a motorcycle, of course, but what's a few cracked vertebrae if you're getting some? Am I right? I wish Nate was here to read these. He has a much better voice for this. Then we have SMU, minus 10. A prank gone wrong of a rival school results in a dangerous live animal being let loose on your campus.
It's a buffalo.
The Buffaloes aren't even in this.
Nope.
Moving on to Conference 4. Looks like we have 3 negative events there. Auburn. You also had a prank go wrong for a rival school, and you let a large animal loose on your campus. Maryland yelled at a reporter again, and they also had a bad barbecue that led to a great bonding experience in the locker room bathrooms. However, you missed a day of practice. So that is all the hype that will get added in along with.
Do you want to recap the totals?
Yes, I can do that. Scrolling. Oklahoma, minus 5. Ohio State, minus 5. Pitt, minus 5. Kennesaw State, plus 10. UCLA, plus 5. Cal, minus 10. Tennessee.
It's USC, plus 5.
Correct. What did I say?
You said UCLA. It's the other California school.
I like Jared. Yep, USC, plus 5. Minus 10 to Cal. Plus 5 to Tennessee. Plus 5 to North Carolina. Plus 10 to UCSB. Minus 15 to Mississippi State. Plus 10 to LSU. Family. Minus 10 for SMU. Baylor with plus 25. Notre Dame with plus 15. Auburn with minus 10. And Maryland with minus 5 net.
There we go.
So that all goes in with, no cookie race. That all goes in. I did, Roger. I'm so sorry. I don't know how that happened. That all accumulates. So if you were in the top 25 and you got plus 5 there, it's cumulative. So if you would have gone over 100 by being in the top 25 or winning your game of the week and you went minus 5, it would stay even. So it's not like, okay, well, we can't go higher, so now we'll just add the negatives. It's from the week, all your points of hype up and down. And yeah, let's Tristan, you want to do top 25, and then we can get into questions on the hype store.
I can. Matt, do you have the graphics
Absolutely.
like ready to go?
They are 100% loaded, ready to go. Happy to show everybody. Just tell me what button to push.
The 25 or 21 to 25. Starting at 25, we have big Florida guy, I think is right.
Big wide receiver guy.
Close enough.
Big QB guy. He got a
QB guy. There it is. My bad on that. Big kicker guy, I think, is coming up next. Boz Tulane, 24. Nebraska, 23. Rice at 22. Nathan Hoot.
Motherfucker.
There, thank you. And SMU rounding out this 5 at 21. 20, we have Penn State. 19, UCSB. 18 is Pitt. I think they dropped a few because of yelling at all of the reporters. Michigan State at 17. UCLA.
We're dropping like flies.
Yeah. Had to move that one down several spots. UCLA at 16. UTSA at 10. Did you skip one? I think we skipped one.
I did. Do I have? Yeah. I don't seem to have 15.
There's a chance that I didn't send it to you, but
But you can read them. It's a surprise,
yes,
guys.
Can. Oh yeah, you definitely don't have them, so that's on me. Fire the graphics guy.
No, we need him for tomorrow.
It's been a stressful day. We'll cut you some slack.
15 is Virginia Tech. Yeah. 14 is Stanford. 13 is Maryland. 12 is LSU. And 11 is Kennesaw, is still not a state. 10 is UTSA. 9, TCU, no longer undefeated. Number 8, USF. Number 7, Cal. Number 6, UCSD dropped from 2 to 6, so that's rough.
Took a fat out
there. Yep. 5, Vandy. 4, UC Irvine. That go Anteaters. Zot.
Tight end.
3, yeah. 3, Washington State, I believe, still undefeated as well. Wisconsin.
Don't undefeated. Say that name out loud.
Oh, I'm sorry. W.
The W's, fighting W's.
Yep. And Georgia still crushing the league like a grape at number 1.
Byron's basically unstoppable.
Yep.
Until the national
he kind of was last year too. Yeah, up until the national championship game.
So, questions on the hype store. Do you want me to read the bylaws on what they say?
No, I think they can read the bylaws. We're all adults here. I hope. Why don't you let us know when does Carl need to read the bylaws?
Byron the Great.
He's built a powerhouse.
I mean, Georgia's pretty good in NCAA football as well, so it makes sense.
Yeah.
Texas Tech, if you're wondering,
Missouri gave them roughly
40
I mean, that's not necessarily true. Ohio State's good in real life, and we fucking blow in the program. So,
well,
I top 5 scoring team, but can't win a fucking game out here. So,
there are not links to other conferences. I love his voice, so read them. Not happening.
If Nate was here, we would definitely be reading them.
Okay, Hicks, I can do that. I don't know what tilde means, but too long, didn't read. Got it. Basically, your hype store opens. You'll know how much hype you have. You can spend it on official visits, which can net you up to 150 points on a player in 1 week. You can put them on unofficial visits, which, regardless of you winning or losing, gets you points for the player. I believe it's 75. That costs 10 hype. You can put them on locks, steals. If you have 100, you can pull an auto commit, but you have to be in on that player. You have to be within the top 5 threshold wise. And if someone else also puts an auto commit on that same player, it's even down the middle. So if it's two guys who both put the same auto commit, 50-50. We'll just roll it like that, just right on the show.
And
locks,
just a reminder
yes.
really quick on auto commit, say that I'll just use Brandon Ennis since he's been topic of discussion tonight. If someone auto commits Brandon Ennis, if you do not have the ability to get more hype to then lock him, that does not mean that Carl cannot come in the next day and say, hey, by the way, I want to use 30 points to flip Brandon Ennis to me, and you could end up losing him. Auto commit gets them on your team. That does not lock them on your team forever.
And in order to pull a flip or steal, you have to be within the threshold on that player. Top 5 and within the threshold in order to steal a player. You can't, like, Tristan gets Cedric Baxter, and I didn't even put points on him. I can't attempt to steal him. He was never interested in my university to begin with. He's not going to flip to me.
Somehow he was interested in my university, though.
Correct, Jared. You can do as many visits as you want as long as you have the hype to spend.
Is that, I don't know if it clarified, because I definitely read the bylaws recently to know, but is that that's unlimited? You can buy total, but not per player. Like each player, you can't continue to have visit your school, or can you? I guess is the question to ask.
That is a great question. That has not been clarified in the bylaws.
We never clarified it, so I guess you can technically do that. Can't do it like you can't
do 3 visits in the same week for the same player.
You can't go spend 30 hype on Cedric Baxter and be like, he's visiting my school 3 times in 1 week. You'd have to do it every week if you wanted to do that, Jared.
Correct.
This is the answer to the question. Which again does get you more points. It does help you push you up. Doesn't mean you're going to get them, but you can still use that way if you'd like. It will help you get. It helped me get up to number 2 in Quinn Ewers last year when I won my game on a visit that he was there. So that is definitely a good strategy to use if you guys would like to use your hype that way.
Yeah, and
the important thing to know is that you want to be like 3rd to 5th on a guy, because those are where they commit to, as we've seen.
Sorry, I got niche, Tristan. Yeah, so the goal is that any player that you truly want, if he doesn't commit week 0 and you had 1 bar on him, you could pull visits in order to get up there. It is a risk, but we want you to have the chance at any player, even if it is minimal. So that's the goal. And then let's see. Anything else on hype? Once you send,
that's got to be Austin. Sorry, that was not me who commented that, so I was curious.
No, that's That's 100% Alfred.
Okay.
Yeah, it's got to be.
Yeah, it's Alfred.
Very good.
So let's see, where was I? Cigars got my mind.
You were talking about timing.
Yes,
I believe.
Once you send a DM. So C2 and C4, the evens go to Tristan, the odds go to me. Once you send that DM, that is, you bought it, you purchased it, you checked out at the counter. You can't say no. It's done. Purchase.
No clearance. There's no returns.
Yeah, we do not give
refunds. It's like Frontier.
So once you get your money back. Done. You will not find out if a player was locked by another team, and a lock will supersede any steal, even if the lock comes at 11:59 on Friday night.
And that lock in on Wednesday.
Yep,
doesn't matter.
You'll lose the hype. It's always a risk trying to flip a player because you still only have 50-50 chance. So when you do that, it supersedes the lock. That's the biggest thing, because I got a lot of questions like, okay, well, if I put mine in right after the show, and they put their lock in after, am I good? No. Yeah. So that we didn't want it to be like a rush to send us a DM, because we didn't want our DMs to blow up on a Tuesday night after the show.
And especially
it's just by 11:59.
Yeah, not everybody gets to watch the show live, and
right.
Everybody has lives and things that they have going on. So the cutoff will be when recruiting points are due, and they will go the following week. They
will happen on the next show.
Yeah, Dallas.
Correct.
Yeah, they will happen on the next show. So meaning if you put your steal in, excuse me again, I'll just use Brandon Ennis. If you were to say win Brandon Ennis tonight, and I went and put my steal in, it would happen the next week, because then that gives me the opportunity to either get him or lose hype if I don't get him. And then if that happens, you could then realistically put a lock on him next week. Like, okay, people are actually coming for this player. I'm just going to use my 30 to lock him so that nobody else can come get him. So it happens that week, because it will give you a chance to lose hype and then possibly build hype back up or get the player. If you steal Brandon Ennis, all of a sudden now he's on your roster, you still lose the hype. at least it was somewhat worth it.
And you could have a week like Baylor where you get 25
Yeah.
hype. Another thing, NIL. It's not anytime you want to. You can flip it to hype.
Convert.
It happens 3 times. Well, it'll happen a 4th time. It'll happen in the off season. But recruiting weeks 4, 8, and 12. So before week 5, before week 9, before National Signing Day, you can convert your NIL into hype. Once you do that, don't try to spend too much hype or too much NIL, because we will take all your NIL that you spend, and if you cap at 100, we're not going to give you any back. It's your job to do the math there. Once you do that, you can spend it the following week. So if you flip in week 4 your NIL, you can use it. You can use that hype.
And these are
in week
recruiting
5.
weeks, by the way. I know the bylaws
Yes.
say that, but because we have NFL weeks and college
Getting a
weeks
hype
and all
ledger.
of that, these are recruiting weeks that he's talking about.
We will remind you guys as well as we get through the
Yep.
week 3 recruiting
We'll
show. We'll say,
tag
by the
everyone.
way, NIL is open. If you guys want to if you want to convert your NIL to hype, you can do so this week. We will let you guys know. It won't just be like, hey, guess what week we're on. We will let everybody know.
And I don't know who rosters Geno Smith in every league, but congratulations on your NIL boost for that.
He was QB.
He was QB1. Yep.
Yeah. Yes, Jared, we are working on that. There will be one for everybody.
Yes. If you want to know your hype because you want to spend it tonight, DM me. It will all be
Or me.
updated with
I'll ask Carl.
Yeah. Perfect. It'll all be updated with the top 25s, the game of the weeks, as well as the random hype events that happened. So there will be a hype ledger, and you'll see how your hype goes up and down. And eventually we'll be showing like, okay, you spent 30 on a lock.
Yeah.
But we won't let everybody see that you spent 30 on a lock.
Just you get to see that. Also, as we talked about last
It's
week,
basically your own bank.
as we talked about last week, Tristan went back and he got the hype for all of weeks 1 through 3 on top 25s and that. So all you will get those hype for those as well. If you were in the top 25 early in the season, like I'll just use you as an example, Jared. You would have been up there because of the season you had last year. Then obviously you lost a couple games, fell out. Now you're back in again. So you got hype earlier in the season. That stuff has been added on to those since we weren't calculating that earlier. So
Correct.
The lowest hype currently before adding in the events from tonight was
is
Notre
Ohio
Dame
State. Oh, damn.
with
I
very
really thought it was
little,
me.
but they got a nice
Second
boost.
West.
There are quite a few teams with 100 prior to adding in this week, so there could be a lot of auto commits. But you take that risk going after somebody else, and you can't lock
Right,
that guy then.
and then you're down to 0, and you need to get to 30 before you can lock that player. So
Or have a visit. So
Yeah.
it's definitely a huge risk, but it could be worth it for the right guy.
And
then
we're
some
3
lucky rolls
we're
if they were stolen.
Now, I'm not telling anybody not to do this. You can do what you want. It's your money. But we are 3 weeks away from you being able to convert NIL to hype. So just keep that in mind if you do use an auto commit.
Yep. We're also trying to get more random hype events in. So if you want to submit any ideas, please do. Depending
Otherwise,
on the
we're
idea.
using all of Nate's.
The funnier, the better.
We
You
will
wouldn't
have
take
one.
your entire team is in a plane crash and you have to restart as the Thunder
Yeah.
Herd.
We did not accept that.
I don't know why. It's pretty good.
Shocking, really. It was-
Plus 100 hype.
Yeah. Yep. Definitely a plus.
Just
Once
like if
every-
you eat an entire jar of mayo and you're in the Duke's Mayo Bowl, you will start the next season at 100.
Yeah.
That is guaranteed.
And then you could auto commit a guy real quick.
Any other questions on hype? It should be a ton of fun for you guys. It's going to be a ton of fun for us. So not the whole tracking it, but just seeing how it affects everything.
Yeah,
It's a lot better system
NIL
than
and hype
guaranteeing
will
locks.
impact your bonuses on players
I could
depending
PJ.
on their preferences.
If Dante Moore stays at Cal, I might have a heart attack.
Hey, it doesn't matter. Maxter, you can get the version
You
of
could-
mayo,
you could drink
whatever
an
that is
entire-
over there and drink that, and
No,
we'll give it to you.
You could drink an entire jar of hot dog water. That would count.
No,
Yeah, Dallas, you don't lose any points. So next season, everybody will have the same amount. There won't be any bonus points. So we're using C4 to kind of gauge where thresholds should be. for next season to make sure we can have it as accurate as possible. And we're looking at opening it up to as long as you make the threshold, you're in on a guy versus it just being top 5.
Yeah. So
we
the
want
only thing
pure
you
chaos.
Lose, is
Yep.
your height. Is your
We
height.
want
Which,
to
again,
see
Matt,
how angry Matt can get.
I'm golden, baby. I don't know what you're talking about. Never mad. Always happy.
Any other questions?
Yeah, we do apologize. We wanted the show tonight too because this obviously is our time too. So we know you guys take the time to watch it. We want to be able to provide that for you, but we also want to make sure it's accurate. So
yeah. You won't like it, Maxter. Don't worry about it. You're not missing out on anything. You're really not.
just eat a jar of lard. You're good.
Yeah.
It's basically the same thing.
All right. So if nobody has any more questions, we will keep you guys updated on the recruiting show. Again, tomorrow is the plan to get this done, but that will depend on Nate. But once that is confirmed, we will let you guys know. It won't be like in 5 minutes we're going live. We'll give you plenty of notice as a heads up.
It will be before the Devy debate because obviously some people are on that. So it will be before that. It won't be a late night show. It won't be 9:30 Eastern time, the worst time ever created. It will be a different time.
Well, Nate's important. He likes it at 8:30. So
he does, but Nate won't be part of it. Yeah,
that is true.
This is for the kids. Yes.
Oh. We appreciate you guys hanging in with us. Again, we know it's frustrating. As Carl said, we are all fairly frustrated with this as well. But hopefully this is kind of the last issue, and then we're going to have years and years of bliss with the sheets now, because it seems like this will be the last thing that kind of caused the issue. So
we hope.
No, Tristan. No. This is the last issue. We're good. Why would you put that evil on us? We were going good, and then that happened.
Tristan, roll the boat, Sky. You want go Gophers? Except this last week, that was ass.
Yep.
Sco Buffs. They can't get a loss this week. They don't have a game.
There you go. Yes, there you go, Kyle. Knock on wood. All right, thank you guys again. We'll keep you guys updated on the show for tomorrow. Everybody have a great night.